Hello everybody and welcome back to Carried Away Travels. In this week's video, I'm going to be continuing my Puerto Rico series by telling you about 7 of the best hidden gem beaches outside of San Juan. Now, so many people go to Puerto Rico and they fly into San Juan and they just never leave. And honestly, that's like a crime because the best parts of Puerto Rico are outside of San Juan and quite frankly off the beaten path. And so a lot of people will maybe go to like Aguadilla or Rincon because they're still kind of popular, but they're really missing out on the best authentic taste of what Puerto Rico has to offer. Now, if you're the kind of person who's just wanting to hit the nearest beach wherever that is so you can lay out in the sun and you don't care if you're like surrounded by 1,000 other tourists, this video probably isn't for you because these beaches are a little bit off the beaten path. And yes, they do have great places to lay out without the crowds, but they're also a little bit more adventurous. Like, not only do they have beautiful beach, but they have snorkeling. There are Spanish ruins, there's sea turtles, there's hiking opportunities, tide pools. These beaches have so much more to offer than just the convenience of laying on the sand next to the nearest hotel. So if you were looking for something that's a lot more authentic than what you're going to find in San Juan, this video is for you and you are going to absolutely love exploring these 7 beaches. Now, real quick, if this is your first time here, I'm Carrie and I share helpful travel tips, itineraries, gear recommendations, and more so you can always have the perfect trip. But I also focus on finding beautiful, authentic experiences wherever I go that really help you dive into the area or the culture that you're visiting. So that is definitely the focus with this video today. But if that sounds like the kind of content you want more of in your feed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you always know when I post my latest videos. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about these 7 beautiful beaches around Puerto Rico. I have organized them going in a clockwise direction around the island to make it really easy for you to know where they're at. First up is Playa Punta Arenas, located on the gorgeous island of Vieques. You can get here by ferry or as part of a snorkeling tour. Either way, it is 100% worth the trip. This particular beach has a small shoreline with golden sand and an amazing coral reef system just offshore that is so perfect for snorkeling. We saw tons of colorful fish and someone in our group even spotted a stingray, but we had such a blast just swimming around this area and then walking along the shoreline. There were tropical fish even in the water close to the shore. And if you're a good swimmer or you have a life jacket, you should definitely venture out into the deeper waters as well because the shoreline drops off and you see these really cool plant formations down below and these giant schools of fish. We even saw some sea turtles and the water is just so clear all the way down. So if you are comfortable swimming out that far, definitely go check out the deeper waters as well because there's just so much to see in this area. It's crazy. But make sure that you don't take any of the sand or the seashells home with you. As I mentioned, the shoreline is pretty small and that's a result of the hurricanes that have come through. So both the sand and the seashells are helpful in rebuilding the beach. So make sure you leave that and help keep it intact for other people to enjoy. If you're into wildlife, be sure to head down to Playa, California on Puerto Rico's southeastern coast. This beach isn't really ideal for swimming because the waves can be kind of rough, but it is a protected nesting site for leatherback turtles. When we went, there were actually 2 nests marked off right then. We didn't see any turtles coming in, but it was really cool to see the nest. Also, we had the entire place to ourselves. There were 0 other people on this beach. It was such a long, beautiful tropical beach, and there's also like these super cool rock formations at one end, and then it's just a perfect spot to walk along the shoreline and look for seashells or just lay out and soak up the sun. I got a really nice tan here. Like, this is just such a beautiful, private, peaceful spot if you're looking for somewhere to lay out and not be around all the crowds. Beach number 3 was probably the coolest adventure spot for us, and that is Playa Punta del Viento. Now, this is a fairly remote beach that does take a little bit of effort to reach. If you come from town and you walk, it's probably gonna take you about 45 minutes, or you can take your car. We took our rented compact SUV but you do have to drive pretty carefully because the road does have a lot of potholes and it's pretty narrow, but I never felt like we were actually going to damage the car, just for the record. So there is a little bit of effort, but it is 100% worth it. You're going to find tide pools that are just full of tropical fish, barnacles, mussels, crabs, all sorts of really cool sea creatures. And there's just so many of them to explore all along the coastline. Like, this is an incredible area, not to mention that the beach is just lined by the most perfect palm trees. And then there's a mountain capping off in the distance. Like, it is picture perfect, and there's just so much to see here. Yes, you can still lay on the beach. There were like 2 people down at the far end fishing and swimming, so you can do that too. But if you really want to look for some cool wildlife, this is a really great spot for it. We also, while we were driving, there was like a big puddle in the road, and there were some sort of crabs mass migrating across this puddle. So like, we were seeing stuff before we even got to the beach. It was so cool. So again, this is a great spot to see the wildlife, but you can also swim, snorkel, kayak, all that fun stuff. Just keep in mind that this is like a protected reserve, and you should always be very respectful of the wildlife. Make sure you watch where you step and clean up after yourself to keep it beautiful. Beach number 4 is Playa de Tamarindo on the island's south coast. This is just a little ways away from Ponce, so if you happen to be in that area, this is a pretty convenient one to visit. It does require a bit of a drive, but when I tell you that it was one of the most scenic drives we had on the entire trip, I am not exaggerating. If you're not going to this beach, I would still recommend you drive this coastal road that leads here because it is so gorgeous and breathtaking, because you start up kind of high and you can just see all of this coastline. It is so beautiful. But the actual beach here is really cool too. It's all the way at the end of this coastal road, and because it is a little bit remote, it's so private, but it also has some really cool scenery with these wetlands. So when you park your car, you're gonna walk on this boardwalk through these wetlands. There's giant crabs and lizards and water birds just chilling nearby, and then you're gonna get to the end of the boardwalk and it's just gonna open up and there's this beautiful beach right in front of you. The beach is pretty narrow, and like most South Coast beaches, it is a little bit rocky, but there is still sand. There's places for you to lay out, and the water here is just so clear. Plus there's seagrass, so there's a lot of like tropical fish and stuff if you want to snorkel, and there's like no crowds. Like, you are gonna have plenty of space to stretch out and enjoy yourself. The waters are fairly calm. Like, this is a great place to do a good mix of like relaxing, looking at the scenery, and then there's all sorts of trails in that wetland area too. So if you just want to explore that more, you can get out and stretch your legs, and it is just so perfect for someone who wants like a good mix of chilling and activity. Now, just down the road from Playa de Tamarindo is Playa Ballena. You're actually gonna pass this on the way to get to Playa de Tamarindo, and this is like just a few minutes away, but it is a very different beach experience, which I thought was so neat. This is actually like 2 beaches intersected by this giant pink rock formation. So there's a smaller crescent-shaped beach kind of tucked into the curve of the land on your left. Then there's this big rock formation that you can like explore. It's got some cool plants on it if you just want to sit and stare at the ocean. Like, it's nice and flat. It's a good place to chill. And then there's another slightly bigger beach on the right as well. Both of them are beautiful. They have some awesome snorkeling opportunities, plus the rock formations are really cool to check out, and each part's just a little bit different. So this is a good place to swim and relax, but also to kind of walk around a little bit as well. And parking is so easy. You're just going to pull off on the side of the road, walk a few steps, and you're ready to start enjoying the area. Now, if you're like really into snorkeling, you definitely have to add Playa Escalera to your list. This is located up in the Rincon area of the island. It's part of the Tres Palmas Marine Reserve, and the reef here is just absolutely amazing. Like, it is so expansive. It puts the one in Vieques to shame. It has so many types of coral, including these giant elk horn coral formations, and there's just so much to see here. We actually took a guided tour for this, and I'm so glad we did because our guide was able to spot so much that we wouldn't have noticed on our own. But we saw tons of tropical fish, we saw a sea turtle, two terrapins, and a nurse shark. So we got like the full gambit here. We were told there's often dolphins and sometimes whales as well. So this is just an incredible place to explore if you really want more snorkeling. The beach here is small, but it's still very beautiful, and it's actually one of the more convenient ones because it's right outside of a town. There's plenty of parking, there's restrooms, food, everything easily accessible just a few steps away. So this is a great one if you don't really want to go as far out of the beaten path, but you do want something a little bit quieter. I do want to add a real quick note for all of the last three beaches because they are a little bit rockier, especially those south coast ones. It would be a good idea to have water shoes with you just to make sure you protect your feet from the rocks and any sea urchins that may be chilling there. It's just a good idea in general because you never know what's going to be in the water. So I would definitely recommend you bring your water shoes. And last but not least is Punta Boriken Beach. I think I said that right. That's up in the northwest coast of the island. It's super easy to reach, although cell service does get a little sketchy, but there's parking, there's vendors selling like food and snow cones, there's gorgeous beach, and it has this incredible view set right against these cliffs. Now, this is a pretty extensive beach, so if you are like, I really want, like you're the kind of person who wants like a lot of beach to explore, this is a great spot. There's so many places to lay out. The sand is super soft. The water is like that perfect shade of blue. It's great for swimming, like all the standard beach activities you can do here. However, if you are looking to add a little bit more to this, there are actually some trails in the jungle-like area framing in the beach, and you can go to a lookout tower and look over this beach. I highly recommend it because it is stunning, especially with those cliffs. If you go a little further, you're going to run into this road, and you are eventually going to come to some Spanish ruins from the 1800s. They are the Ruinas del Faro, and they were a lighthouse that was damaged during an earthquake. So you can walk around those ruins. They're set right on a cliff too, so they also have these gorgeous coastal views. Like, it's very low effort but high reward views if you just want to take a short walk off of the beach there. I highly recommend it. We had so much fun with that. And there you have it. 7 lesser known but completely unforgettable Puerto Rico beaches. So whether you're into the wildlife or you really just want to get away from the crowds, these are all really great options to check out. And once again, you're going to leave the tourists behind and you're going to get a much more authentic feel for the island, which I think is just such an irreplaceable experience. Thank you so much for coming by to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop those down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And if you have been to Puerto Rico and you're thinking, Carrie, you should have added this beach to your list, drop it in the comments, let me know. I plan to go back to Puerto Rico, so I will definitely add your recommendations to my list for next time as well. If you did enjoy this video, you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up, save it, share it with your friends, and if you aren't already subscribed to Carried Away Travels, please make sure you hit that subscribe button before you go so you can follow along with my adventures. One last thing, if you're more of a reader or you want to dive into some more content without just having to watch endless YouTube videos, I do have a blog at www.cochranewriting.com. I have more information for Puerto Rico, around the United States, Latin America, Europe, wherever you're thinking about traveling next. I encourage you to check out my website and see if I have some helpful information there for you to help make planning your next trip just that much easier. Thank you once again for stopping by, and I wish you many happy travels.